So when Grandad came back from the war, were you in different places of New Zealand?
Well, I was in Wellington. And where did you arrive back?
In Littleton, Christchurch.
Littleton, yes. And I don't think I think our letters had sort of, I don't think we sort of were corresponding then, were we?
No, we hadn't written. When I was in Japan, I don't know whether I got any letters at all, did I? But you must have known I was coming home.
Oh, did I?
Yes.
Well, I know we used to go and visit your mother. That must have been before I went to Wellington, yeah. I used to go out there and visit her. And she used to have letters from you, and she would sort of show me your letters and that.
So how...
she knew that you were quite fond of me, didn't she? And she wanted to sort of, you know, keep the relationship going, I suppose, and wanted to fizzle out. While he was away, she was doing her motherly thing to...
So how did you meet again then after the war?
Well, you must have contacted me, wasn't you?
Yes, I must have tracked you down in Wellington.
Yeah.
There was just one point I remember in the earlier days when we were first meeting at the dances, and you were nursing at Lewisham Hospital. That was a Catholic hospital run by nuns in the Catholic order. I don't know what they call themselves.
No, just a nursing order.
Anyway, I thought Nance was a Catholic. And of course I wasn't a Catholic. Oh yes.
And I know how your parents felt towards Catholics. So.
Yeah, well, I can't get too involved with this. Girl, she's a Catholic. And I don't know how it came about, but it took a while to get around to asking you whether you were a Catholic or not.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Patricia was a Catholic too, my friend, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was a Catholic. And I thought, oh yes.
Because those days, you know, people felt very anti-Catholics, didn't they?
Doolan, married Doolans were Catholics.
Yeah, and of course your father was a very staunch Anglican, so I can imagine he wouldn't be...
A little hiccup for a while, just sort of waiting till we found out whether you were in fact...
Well, it wasn't for the want of trying. The sisters, I think, you know, they gently tried to... Would you like to come along to Mass, dear? Everything was dear and darling.
Oh, you joining the Catholics?
Yes. No, they were lovely people. They were lovely people to work with.
The nurses?
No, the nuns.
The nuns.
But they never really, you know, it was the hierarchy that the priest would come to the hospital, you know, to give communion to Catholic patients, and he'd be followed by a nun with her candles. She would lead the way, and he'd be all robed up, and she'd have a little bell and tinkle this little bell, and when you heard the bell you were supposed to get down on your knees in the corridor no matter where, and in respect to them as they passed. But of course, being a non-Catholic, you know, I used to just sort of cling to the side of the walls, and I never ever felt that I, you know, wanted to just get down on my knees to look as though I was one of them. But no, I suppose it was respect for them, I don't know. Yeah, reverence, yeah.
So how did Grandad woo you over once he returned from...
Well, when we went to Wellington, I went to Wellington, and I started taking you out in Wellington. Well, I was still on leave, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And I was undecided as what I was going to do.
I thought this fella's, he's never changed. He's as persistent as he ever was.
Me?
Yes.
And I thought, oh, well, this is no good. You'll have to come down to Christchurch. And at that stage, I was looking at a rehab farm and going into farming. And but to get into a rehab farm, I had to do 18 months on an approved farm and get a grading for a mixed sheep and crop farm through the rehab people after the war. And they would finance me onto a farm as a returned serviceman. So I I must have said, well, will you come down? We weren't engaged at all.
Yes,
but
we were. Yes, we were. I went back there with an engagement ring. Yes, I can remember that.
You went back to work.
I must have come down to Christchurch.
Well, you must have agreed to get engaged in Wellington.
But I was determined I was going to finish this nursing training.
Yeah. And in the meantime, I was down in Christchurch, and you were up there. And then there was this job offering.
And there was always something where you were wanting to entice me back to Christchurch, but of course you didn't. I couldn't get the leave, just to take off for a weekend.
Because how would you get down also?
To go down the ferry.
Very low.
And I mean, goodness me, we were getting so little in the way of money anyway. So, and we didn't get weekends off as such. You just got the day, whatever, was allotted to you for your day off, and you'd be lucky ever to get a weekend.
So you came down.
But it was a Labour weekend, I think. I went down there, and you were really putting the pressure on then, I think. And things weren't going too well for me up there, that's right, because as training nurses, they were very short of junior nurses in the ward, and we were at the stage where we'd passed what they call your first state examinations, and we were to have gone on, to senior nurses. And we were taken one by one to the matron's office and asked, consider staying on in the wards another 6 months as junior nurses, because they had no nurses coming on to train.
After becoming engaged.
Well, I'd been down several times, I think, and I thought, well, this can't go on.
And there was a job in a nursing home.
Oh, that's right, there was a private job.
Not a private nursing home, so you were appointed to a job there in Christchurch, and I was out at Rangiora on a farm, working on a farm there, and I used to come home on the weekends to Mum, and we'd meet up on the weekends. And then we must have organised or arranged a wedding, because you got married from that nursing home, didn't you?
That's right.
So
yeah, well, I had to, terminate my nursing training, which was something I regretted. And yet, at the time, as I was just saying, that period of time where they were going to hold us back 6 months anyway, that was really the time to my weakest moment. And I didn't really want to go back.
So where did you get married? In Christchurch?
In Christchurch, yes. At the church that I had attended, down at St Saviour's Church. We went down there and married there.
What year was that?
1947. Yes, he's got legs like sticks.
Gran and Grandad on their wedding day. And in those days, you used to go away for a honeymoon, or was it didn't have enough money?
Yes, we went
away. Oh, yes, but it wasn't anything. It wasn't like an overseas trip or anything like that. I think we had somebody's crib out at
Stuart Scully.
Yes.
Then we went up to
north of Canterbury, yeah. North Christchurch, I should say.
When we got married, we got a flat down at Sumner, Redcliffe. And I was working in town then, because I gave up the rehab training to be in town somewhere near you, because I was undecided what I was going to do.
And I was going backwards and forwards each day on the tram.
Yeah.
To nursing, yes.
You're going back to this hospital, this nursing home. So then we went from there. I went into the rehab about a position on a farm for a married couple, because Gran had to have somewhere to live too. And we went to a place out at Lauriston and worked for a chap out there for about 3 months, and all I was doing was driving the tractor. And I wasn't getting any training or what I thought was training. So I went back to rehab. I said, this chap's hopeless. I said, he just wants a bit of cheap labour, because he was being subsidised by the government to train me in mixed sheep and crop work. And with no cropping, just tractor work. driving a tractor and feeding stock maybe. And Nance was his
Housekeeper.
Yeah.
Oh.
She
Didn't
would
take to that
cook
too
his
kindly.
meals.
Did you spend much time out in farm areas before?
Ever.
And you were stuck there.
No, oh, it was awful.
And we
He
had
was
no
an awful
transport.
creature. He had, oh,
Disgusting.
he was a bachelor, and not that I hold that against him, but he'd come to the meal table and he had a raggy sort of jacket that pieces all hung down here that he wore out in the shearing shed or whatever, and he'd reach across the table. He had no manners, and
What about the time you ran the bath for
oh,
the
that
bath?
was terrible. That was the last straw. I was expecting Julie, and I ran the bath and found the door locked. He'd got in the bath that I'd run. Just the sort of fellow he was.
Used your bath.
I'd had it. That
So
really
we got away from there, and then
finished me with him.
we went to work for this chap Murphy at Lincoln, and we were out there with old bro Murphy for a couple of years, and then he got to the stage where he was all right. I mean,
Well, I wasn't a housekeeper there, was
No, you
I?
weren't.
We had our own house.
Our own house there, and so Julie was a baby then, and we were there for about 18 months, was it? Because I did my training there, and I went to Lincoln College from there too. I did a course
We
at
had no
Lincoln
vehicle,
College.
did we? We had no car.
No. I did my training at Lincoln College, and then I passed for a mixed sheep and crop farm. I got a certificate, and they said, right, you can go for a ballot. But I didn't have any luck in any ballots, so I thought, oh well. And this chap Murphy didn't want to keep me on there full time, so there was a job offering at Waipara. I was working on this farm at Waipara, and he was a decent sort of enough chap, but we used to cut a lot of hay. I think I told you about tossing these bales of hay up 7 tiers high with a short handle fork, one in each end, and just toss it up. And I got double hernia. So I went into hospital, and ACC or whatever it was in those days paid for it. Or it was insurance. He had an insurance policy, this farmer. So I got a lump sum, and they said, right, you can't carry on with heavy farm work, you'll have to look for another job. So I applied for the job there in Culture Department and the State House. And I got the State House in Ballantyne Avenue and joined the department as a livestock officer. Had 18 months in a new house at Riccarton.
Perhaps Julie and Faye outside the Ballantyne Avenue house. Looking down into Fairley Basin. The area where Gran and Grandad and their children spent a lot of the 1950s. Can you explain that, Grandad?
This is a tractor that the front axle collapsed and the tractor rolled halfway across the bridge. Nobody was hurt, but it blocked the bridge for several hours. That's my car in the background, an Austin Big 7. Used to drive around the country in.
And that's the same bridge today, the main Fairley to Geraldine bridge. Exactly the same spot that Grandad took that photograph. So, when did you arrive in Fairley?
In 1952.
And how long were you here for?
till 1960.
And what was the reason for coming?
Well, we're transferred here from Christchurch as the livestock officer in charge of the district.
And what did that involve?
That involved stock problems, disease testing for TB, pest board work, meat inspection work at the local rural slaughterhouse, and any other stock problems such as internal parasites or external parasites, and general health of animals in stock.
And where did you learn all about that?
And I learned all about that in Christchurch.
Lincoln College.
Yeah.
And partly at Lincoln before shifting to do.
Over how many years did that take of knowledge?
Oh, it would have taken about 3 years.
Oh, a lot of it came from just general knowledge too, didn't it? I mean, from your experience on farming and that.
And
things
field
like
side,
that,
yes.
Yeah.
But did you mention your rabbit boards?
Yes, I mentioned rabbit
Oh,
boards.
he spent hours
There was-
attending rabbit board meetings. How many rabbit boards?
I had 5 rabbit boards here. There was the Mackenzie board, the Tekapo board, and the Pukaki board going into the upper Mackenzie. And then down in below Fairley was the Albury rabbit board, and then further over to Geraldine was the Four Peaks rabbit board.
And so how many children did you have when you arrived here, Gran?
We had 4 children. 5 children.
No, 4.
Oh yeah, 4. Yes, because Jenny was born here. Yeah.
Jenny was born here at the local
Yeah. So we had
cottage
4
hospital.
children. Yeah.
And so that was your main preoccupation?
Well, yes, but you had to do something in a place like this. I got out and I was on the Plunket committee.
Committee?
I was on the school committee. I
Board?
joined the local drama club and got all the lead parts.
Oh, very good. What type of part
And
of
of
it?
course that kept the mind ticking over while you're doing the washing and you know the luxing. You weren't thinking about what you're doing. You were going through your lines, and then
Yeah.
of course that would take me out of an evening. You know, out to practices. Yeah, I'd go out and
The local.
and I suppose you were the
Operatic
babysitter. You must have been.
repertory.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just got out and went to rehearsal. I mean, that's where you socialise. You're socialised with the people that you met in the drama group, and the people that you're on the Plunket committee with, and the people that you were on the school committee with, and then you got to know farmers and their wives, and then you made your own fun. I mean, different ones would turn on a party, and
The annual RSA ball was a big event.
yeah, that was a big event. Yeah, we
Of
went
the
to that.
year.
We used to get up in our
Well, that
ball gowns. And,
Presented the debutantes to the local dignitary in the Army, Navy or Air Force, mostly Navy, and that was quite an occasion. As you say, got dressed up.
So that, oh yeah. And what were the interesting characters that lived around this area?
oh, number 1 over here.
Yep.
Huey
Oh,
Chisholm.
Huey Chisholm. I mean, the family will all remember him, especially Sue, because he really took her under his wing, and you could trust him. He was an old man, and I suppose a lot of people would classify him as a pretty scruffy looking old man, and all he had was his bicycle, and he'd ride that down the
Up
town
and down to
and
the
top
town.
it up down there, and he'd stop and talk to anybody that had the time to stop and talk to him. And of course, I was just telling Grandma, he used to come down to my place a lot, and I'd waste half my day just talking to him, because he was lonely. And then I made the mistake of inviting him in for a cup of tea. I thought at least I could get a few jobs done while he's having his cup of tea, but he never knew when to go home. And then I reached the stage where I used to send meals down to him.
Oh.
At the weekend, would it be? The kids used to take them. And of course he always had his lolly jar, and it was quite nice for the kids to go down there, and they always got their lollies.
And did you learn to drive a car here too?
No, I'd learnt that in Christchurch
Oh, okay.
when we were down at Cashmere Hills. I mean, it was either
We often-
drive a car or I was just stuck, with 4 children. So I just practiced. I was better at backing than I was driving forward, because we had a long drive. And I used to have to back out this drive to get back in.
And so how many, you have just the one vehicle here, did you? In
Yes.
Fairley?
Just the wee.
And then I got
He
a
would take that, didn't you? You
department.
used that as your work car
Yes,
for a while.
I used it on mileage.
For a while, yeah.
So
So,
what-
I was just left. Yeah, no
Used
car.
to drive it into the Mackenzie up the Loston 7 on Metal Road, all the way to chugged up the road to Tekapo and Pukaki. And
So I'd push the pram down here and through over the little bridge and round there and down the town.
So you kept fit.
Bust it up.
Because what, you'd be both, it was in your 30s, age 30s, early 30s when you first
Yeah.
arrived here?
Yeah.
yes,
And-
yes, would be.
But having so many children, you wouldn't have had time for any sport as a recreation in the weekend. Granddad, or you didn't play any?
Sport wasn't a big thing then, was it?
No. One of
It
the
didn't seem to
highlights of the time here was when Selwyn Toogood came, and he had the money in the bag, and we went into the competitions, and he came to Fairley, and we were selected to go up where I was, and I was the next one to go on with him, and he cut it off. The time was up, so I missed out. Didn't go for the bag.
Would you just better explain what's the money in the bag?
The money of the bag was where they have
It was a show,
10
quiz show.
packets are in tow. He's got 5 and you've got 5. And after you've answered all the questions, he asks you 5 or 6 or whatever it says, packets of Rinso until, questions until he's got all your packets or you've got all his,
Mhm.
vice versa. And you say, you ask you a question, and then if you won, you got the packet of Rinso. And then once you've got all the packets of Rinso, the 5 packets, then you go for a bag, and they've got so many bags. And one bag will have a good prize in it, another one might have just a booby prize. And depends on the luck of the draw. You select what bag you want, whether 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, whatever. So we missed out, and we the next start he was going to be over in Geraldine. So there were several chaps from Fairley. There was a school teacher, there was a stock agent.
I think the local vicar was one, wasn't he? Wouldn't purchase.
No, he didn't go. And there was an electrician chap and myself, and the stock agent, and we all went in the car load. We go to Geraldine. So, but I was the only one that got through to the final.
You had a bit of brains,
in the
general knowledge.
elimination. And then he gets me on the stage this time, and he asked me these questions. And I finally got all my packets of Rinso and the questions answered. And then he asked me more questions. The 5 questions, one of the 5 were, what colour's the Italian flag, this sort of thing. Well, I knew that reasonably well, no trouble there. And what's a Homburg hat? Different questions that were asked. Got those okay. And then he says, now what do you want there?
No, wait a minute, what about the bananas?
Oh, how many bananas in a bunch? Yeah, that was another one.
How many?
Well, there's only one apparently. One bunch.
Fair enough.
I didn't know that.
Bit of a trick
But
question.
then he said to me, what have you... I took the bag number 6 or 1. And he looked, he said, now he said, he wouldn't tell me what I'd won, but he said, have you got a washing machine? I said, yes, I've got a washing machine. He asked me how many per family had, and I said 4. And he said, have you got a fridge? I said, no, we haven't got a fridge. He said, I've got a fridge. And then he says, well, you've won the fridge. The combined deep freeze and the fridge. So that was quite exciting. So we came home and got back home here, and I got a new fridge through the Farmers Co-op here, the agents. And that was, to say, a highlight of part of our time here. But
Did you not have a fridge at the time?
no, I didn't have a fridge at all. We had an old washing machine, agitator.
Well, you see
one.
how it freezes here. You don't really need one. But the summertime, of course, it's
And that was
terrifically
that was
hot, so
over
I don't know
£100 in those days,
and
which
of
was
course,
a lot of money.
having our own cow too, you didn't have the need to be keeping your milk because we'd had a cow. You'd get fresh milk in the morning, fresh milk
Milked
at
a
night.
cow.
So
Milk twice a day.
who milked the cow?
I did.
What time would you have to get up in the morning to do that?
Oh, around about 7 o'clock, 7:30.
And what was the cow's name?
Dolly. Shorthorn cow.
And he used,
Lovely old
used
cow.
to separate the milk, and I'd
Yep.
make the butter.
So how
Made
did
our own
how
butter.
did you separate the milk?
With a
with
separator.
with a separator.
Alpha larval separator.
So what, does the milk go through it?
Yeah.
It separates the milk from the
goes to
cream.
cream.
And then you just beat
I
up
was
the...
selling cream one part of it there. You
It's
send
all
cream
done by
away
hand, yeah, beat up the
in a can.
cream.
They could take cream down to Timaru once a week.
So your children didn't mind drinking that milk?
No.
Well, just we're talking about that on the way up here. We had a Jersey cow, which of course was very rich in
No, that was in
cream.
Lincoln. That was in Lincoln, not here.
Oh, that's right, it was too. But you had a Jersey cow here too.
No, I had a shorter one here.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah.
Why? What happens if it's rich
Oh
in
well,
cream?
with the Jersey milk we had in
Very creamy.
Christchurch, it was too creamy, and we had a lot of feeding problems with Julie, so she probably thinks that's why she's got so many problems now.
You can
Who
become
knows?
allergic. You can get allergies. You can get
Probably blames the mother.
eczema condition with excess
Blames the mother for pushing
cream. But no,
milk down the throat.
So what was?
Jersey milk.
I mean, were you were a rich family here as such, or was it just
No.
making ends meet?
no,
It
we
was-
just
No, we were sort of middle of the road really, because a lot of our friends, farming community, they could throw parties and because we always loved going, but we could never return, parties like that. We couldn't entertain on the same scale. For one thing, we didn't have enough room, but it didn't stop us from going though, did it? But I used to feel uncomfortable because I thought, well, you can't keep going to these things and not return them, but
no. They
it's
used
just
to.
the way you just had to accept that, and that's the way you lived.
But you made ends meet by having your own milk and making your own butter. What about for meat? Was Grandad able to get any meat cheap or free?
Yes, we ran our own sheep.
He did.
We had sheep over in the riverbed, and I had about 50 acres down over there, and it was just rough riverbed land with willows, as you can see over there at the moment. And I used to run these ewes and lambs, and used to kill a sheep for myself. And down at the Royal Slaughterhouse, I used to run a horse. Had a horse in the paddock just the other side of the house, up there, and he used to be an old draft horse. Used to put him in the dray and cart firewood up, and we lived a fairly frugal sort of life as far as our coal bills, or not coal, but our wood bills and heating and so on. But it was a departmental house. It belonged to the government, and we paid 27 and 6 a week rent.
And it
Which
had, it had an old coal range in it, which meant that that was your only heating, in the back part of the house. And that, had to be, just telling Evelyn, we were talking about that not long ago, you used to have to clean these things out once a month, de-soot them, and you'd put all your old clothes on, and you'd just like a chimney sweep and get up there and
We had an old tin bath.
sweep the chimney and sweep it all up, and then of course your room would be full of soot, and then of course you'd have to wash everything down, because that was you used to have to do that once a month, otherwise your oven didn't work efficiently, you just didn't clogged up. And
What about, did your water freeze in the winter time?
Yes, used to get frozen tap. And we used to
Couldn't
grow
wa-
our own potatoes, although Hughie Chisholm always grew spuds, but when I grew spuds, you get a big sack of spuds, and you have them stored in the wash house on a wooden floor, and it would freeze, and they just get colder and colder, and the spuds would freeze, and then they'd rot. And once one rots in the bag, they all get rotten, and you lose your spuds. You couldn't keep them. You used to put them in the cylinder cupboard. We must make home brew. We made home brew here one time.
How successful is that?
Very good. Yeah, it was pretty good home brew.
you thought it was at the time anyway.
Used to mix it up in a big cream can,
Oh yeah.
the beer, and then used to put it beside the coal range to watch it working, fermenting.
But it was a pretty
And bottle
sleepy
it.
hollow, wasn't it? You just
Oh
had to
yes,
make
there
your
wasn't
own
the
fun.
population here in those days.
Not the people like this passing through here now going skiing, and it was pretty sleepy hollow
So
really.
where did you go to get away from the place? Did you at all, did you have annual holidays anywhere?
Oh
or-
yes, yeah. We used to get a place out in Christchurch at the beach. We used to go up there with the children. I don't know whose batch it was, but we used to get the use of it. And,
Whereabouts?
oh,
Which one you mean?
north of Christchurch. We used to
Right.
we used to have a house that we used to with the outside toilet. Don't you remember? We used to sit and peer through the window when the nightman came.
Oh, that was Waikuku Beach.
Yeah, that'd be right. Yeah.
Or Stuart's Gully.
Did you find the winters particularly long and hard here?
We didn't know any
Oh,
different, really.
yeah.
We didn't
You
know any
got
different.
used to them. You got a
And perhaps when
very-
you're young, you don't notice the cold the same. I don't know.
you got a very hard frost, but a lovely day after it, and you don't notice.
No, I remember these sort of days, you know. I was just saying to Evelyn, I mean, school holidays and that, the kids spent most of their time outside. Not
They
like
made
they do
their own
now, all
fun.
the kids are indoors, but ours, they just played all day outside.
They
And I'd
climbed
just
through.
open the window on the north side of the house, and there was an area there, and I just passed their lunch out through the window, and they picnicked outside and used their
They used to
imagination,
catch the school
didn't
bus.
they? Yeah.
Bus school,
So, it was
out on the main road, just over here.
so how do you think things have changed for rural life today compared to back then?
Well, looking at this place, it doesn't look as though it's changed much at all.
Well, it's a different lifestyle today. What they call the lifestyle blocks, small holdings where people just run a pony or something like that for the kids, and a few sheep. But they've got other permanent jobs, and the land's just an extra for them. But there's so many subdivisions today, and everybody's got cars, and they can travel long distances and think nothing of commuting to Fairley, to Timaru or somewhere like that. We used to go to Timaru once a month
Oh yes, that was
to do
that
have
was a
a
regular
day
thing, wasn't it?
shopping and get our supplies that we needed and things like that.
And would you take the whole family?
No, they'd be at school. So,
They used to be managed on their own, or someone look after them, did they?
well, we always used to try and be back by the time the kids came up from school.
Mm.
But the older ones, would sort of look after the young ones until we got home. But we wouldn't be too far away, you know. But
So
there would be the odd times we'd get home and find them up on the roof or something. You know, it was a bit hair-raising.
Doing what on the roof?
Oh, just exploring, just having fun while Mum and Dad were
Oh, the
out.
parents used to come out of the people to come and babysit. We were going to be
Oh,
late
that
to
was
go
at
somewhere.
night time, yeah. And old Huey over the road, he was very good. He would come and babysit.
Odd times, yeah.
We went to the movies.
Oh, you had movies in Fairley?
Oh, yeah, films.
yeah. Cold
Don't
place,
know.
but it was cold.
Don't ask me what we used to see, what films were on, but there was one film that I thought was a very good film, The Dam Busters, and that was on Fairley. I never got to it. But we had one film one night with a chap who did a jet boating trip down the Colorado, a fellow by the name of Guy Mannering. And he came with a documentary film all about his trip down the Colorado in a jet boat, both down and back, and that was very hair-raising.
Oh, you
But it was
played
excellent.
cards at night, wouldn't you? You'd
Yeah,
have
we played poker.
Several of the
Including the vicar.
locals would come in and play poker.
Would you have a bit of a gamble as well?
Yeah, we'd have penny poker. You use pennies, and you have a stack of pennies like that, and there'd be the local vicar, as I say, and
Organ
another
purchase.
another livestock bloke, and
School teacher.
school teacher.
Yeah,
Anybody
what's
can
his
make up a
name?
school, you see. And 1 month or 1 week would be at my place, another week there'd be at somebody else's place, and we'd take our half G's, and we'd drink our beer, and we'd have our penny poker.
Oh, the local stock agent, Mercer.
Stock agent.
What's his, Bill Mercer used to come.
Phil Mercer, that's right.
So the local vicar
And
liked
then
to
he
support-
drank too much one night
And a
and, got
farmer.
the pip because he didn't win the cards and walked home. He wouldn't accept a ride home on a freezing cold night.
That was out in the farm. Oh,
He chose to walk home.
yeah,
He got the pip.
he walked home along the railway line.
Did Grandad ever have to walk home?
No, I never had to walk home. I managed to.
Maybe it was just as well he did walk home. He probably had too much to drink anyway.
But the night we got back from Fairley, from Geraldine after winning the fridge, one of the school teacher, one that was with us, he said, "I must tell my wife." And this was about midnight. So he rings her up and he said, "Oh, we won that the in the bag was Selwyn Too Good." And she said, "Did you win the prize?" "No," she said, "but Bert did." "Oh, you woke me up, just tell me that." She was quite upset.
And she really thought he'd rung to tell her that she'd
Midnight.
won it, so
And he hadn't
she
won
was
the
pretty
trophy.
upset.
But you woke Gran up, did you?
Oh yes, we had to.
Oh, they all came round.
Yeah, we all had to
Woke me
celebrate,
up and
so
got me out of bed and we
One
had to celebrate.
went to, "Oh, I've got some beer," another one said, "I've got a bottle of gin," another one's got a bottle of whiskey. And they all finished up back here celebrating the big prize.
Before today.
they?
Would some people think you were Catholics for having 6 children?
Not in those days. not in those days, no.
Was that a normal size, having so many kids?
Well, it wasn't unusual, was it?
No.
No.
And so,
Well, of course, we didn't have contraception and all that sort of thing
No
in those
pills, no.
days. And then you just took the luck of the draw.
yeah.
Took too many risks, perhaps. But Tracy was born here.
While we were here, yes. Not
And
here.
she
She
was
wasn't
born
born
in
in fairly
Timaru.
here. I actually
And
went
that was
through
left.
to
You
Timaru
left
to
that a
have
bit
her.
late and had a hair raising trip to Timaru
What happened?
one night. Oh, well, Gran took a dose of castor
I
oil.
was in labour before I ever left here.
And we couldn't get a babysitter to stay with the other 4 kids. And we had to get to Timaru, and this chap that was coming to babysit, he was late at a meeting,
Oh,
and we
is
just
that right?
left.
I've forgotten about that.
Brian
Perrin,
Perrin.
yeah.
And so we set off, and we get through the town, and the clock goes 11:30, and I just put my foot down straight through to the right down through Cave and Pleasant Point, and on the way looking all round, thinking, you said, you'll have to stop. I'm going to have it. And I said, can't you hold on for a bit longer? Kept going, and not a light or a house or anything.
Middle of winter, 1st of June, that's when she was born.
And
yeah.
we get to the main part of town, straight down through the lights, never even stopped for the lights in the main street, and up to the hospital. And it was after midnight by that stage.
12:05 she was
And-
born, yeah.
And get to the hospital, and I rushed saw the port, and he came out with his wheelchair and said, right, I'll get in the wheelchair. And Gran said, no, I can't get out of the wheelchair, I've got to stay. Wouldn't move. He said, you've got to get up, got to get you in the lift and up to the theatre. Oh, I finally got her in, and she was in the theatre,
5 minutes.
and that baby was born.
Did you have were you already Grandad psyched up to?
I was there when the doctor came
He
in.
should have been, because that was the reason I was well overdue, and I didn't want to go through the performance that I had done in the past with having inductions and all that sort of paraphernalia, and I wanted to try and avoid that if I could and just have it naturally. And then I thought, well, I'll just give it a wee hurry up, and took a good dose of castor oil.
In a hot bath. But the doctor came in about 20 minutes later, after everything was all over, and he said, what happened? Oh, I said, she took a dose of castor oil. He said, oh, she shouldn't have done that.
And in those days, did Grandad, were the fathers allowed to go in?
No,
I wasn't even in the
no
theatre.
way, no.
I never went to
He
any of the
just
confinements.
dropped me off, and that was it, you know. And then
Just
they just
waited.
ring you and say, you've got
Another daughter.
another daughter.
Would you sit outside Grandad, or where would you have to go?
Yeah, I just sat outside.
Well, sometimes, no, not all, in that case he did, but other times I would be dropped off, and he'd just go home, and they'd just ring him at home and say, you know, your wife's had a baby. That's the way things were in those days.
And you just didn't question it, didn't think any at all twice?
No.
And she stayed in hospital for 10 days, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, I mean, you didn't just get up and go home. I mean, you were treated more like an invalid, weren't you?
Mm.
Grandad, Gran, and part of the family
Yes,
in the early, perhaps mid-1950s.
yes.
Grandad in the early 21st century. Same location.
Same location, that's right.
Yep.
This is across to the first fence over there with the cow paddock, and all through here. It's been subdivided since.
Yeah.
This creek had eels because of the fact that it was from the wool scour and it was very muddy. And I had an eel trap, a netting that an eel can go in but he can't get out. And one night I set this trap, and I went out late at night in the dark and saw there was an eel. He was colossal, great big eel. And we had the friend from over the road came along, and I said, come look at this eel. And I said, I can let him out, I can pull him out now. He said, no, leave him there till the morning, let the kids have a look at it when they get up. So I left it there, and in the morning came out and it was gone, and it got out. So I was quite upset, but never mind.
And where was the orchard?
The orchard was over the back here, just straight down over here, and we used to have pear trees and apple trees, and the kids used to play in there and had a lot of fun. And I had a pet ram lamb, and he was a merino, and he used to chase the kids. He had great big horns, and he used to chase the kids and put them up the trees when they were young.
And we filled in the door to the veranda.
So sorry, Gran?
I used to stand up on the bunks there. The kids would walk to school, and you'd see them catch the bus just down there on the main road, and they'd be running late, they'd come back for something, and I'd be standing up there on the bunks to see, they're going to miss that bus, and I'd be watching.
Magpies used to attack them sometimes. Used to be magpies nesting over here, and one day they'd swoop down on them, and they'd really scare them if they hit them. And one day I went out with a rifle and I shot one, and it was lying there on the ground, and the others came round, they were squawking, they really went to town.
Yeah.
So this whole area here had 3 children.
Yeah, this is where the 3 girls were. Because Vincent was in a room next, there was just a small room where we had bunks. Done is it?
It's just a cupboard.
Just a cupboard. Yeah, well that used to be where his room was. Yeah.
That was our bedroom.
And
that
Julie had that room, and we were in that room.
And then you've got another big room
So
here.
actually, yeah, she's still got that as a bedroom.
This is the big lounge.
Oh, it's not a big lounge, it's a very small lounge. That's the bedroom though. No, but this is the kitchen. Oh yes, they have. They've boarded the safe in. You can see it from the outside. It's just on that wall there.
Yes, safe, the old safe.
Just on there. I think that's where it is. And this is where we had our dining room table. This is where the kids all sat around the table in exactly the same place, yeah.
And you have a table about that size, did you?
Oh, it would have been, yes.
I'll be bigger than that.
Yeah, it might even be bigger. Used to take up the whole area because we didn't have these cupboards here, you see, so we'd have gone right back to that.
Yes,
That
that's
wall
right.
level
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Just out from the wall.
Yeah.
And it probably just had meshing on the outside. It was jolly cold when you opened the door from, inside the kitchen. But that was our safe.
And what was the purpose of the safe?
Well, we didn't have a fridge, so all your milk and meat and everything was just kept in there, and your butter. And, yeah, that was just like your fridge. And it was like a fridge in the winter time.
And how far did it come out?
Not very far. It would be the size of it. That's the opening. And they were just like shelves, really. Yeah.
The trees were the boundary between us and the Woolscour. We used to have an orchard just the other side of those trees.
And what did you have in the orchard?
Apples and pears, but they seem to have been all rooted out now. And there's a shed been built there. That's a garage, this side of the house. And this side of the road is where old Huey Chisholm lived.
Barely. Throughout the swinging 60s, this house here in Highgate in Dunedin swung with the Hammond family, with 5 daughters, 1 son, Gran and Grandad. Here's Grandad in 1973 in the Clarence Valley, northwest of Kaikoura, doing a rabbit board inspection. This was during his years as a livestock officer in Blenheim. The family lived in this Blenheim house between 1970 and 1974. Look at that rose garden of Gran's. And there's Great Granny, Grandad's mother, enjoying smelling the roses. And while in Blenheim, Gran continued to perform in local drama stage shows. And outside their Blenheim house is a photo of their son Vince and their granddaughter Claire. Claire was the first of 17 grandchildren to sprout. This is a site that we're all grandchildren of Gran and Grandad's very familiar with. Big long drive, 32 Oakley Crescent on my route to their home, into the sweeping views below, including Waitaki Boys High School. Gran and Grandad arrived in Oamaru in the mid-70s when this family photo was taken, and 28 years later, in the new millennium, they are both still going strong. Hello?
Hi. Come in.
I'll never forget the moment we kissed the night of the hayride. The way that we hugged to try to keep warm while taking a sleigh ride. Magic moments, memories we've been sharing. Magic moments when two hearts are caring. Time can't erase the memory of these magic moments filled with love. The telephone call that tied up the line for hours and hours. The Saturday dance, I got up the nerve to send you some flowers. Magic moments, memories we've been sharing. Magic moments when two hearts are caring. Time can't erase